Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, Olivia. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. We didn't get enough time to officially allow me to say I miss you so much, but I'm doing good.
Yes, and I miss you as well. So welcome everybody to Olivia and I guess that's how I say it,
Yeah,
top 20 list
yeah,
of all time. This is Olivia's first time on the channel, I believe,
it
but
is.
I did do this last year. So everybody gets to see kind of my progression and then they get something brand new from you. So
I'm
I think
very
that's really
excited
cool.
because my top 20 shifted tremendously. No, none of you will know that, but this was a big year for me. This was a big year for shifts, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy how my list shifted as well. And it's kind of crazy how much it like I was going through and doing it, and also a comment from Ryan in the chat, Squirrel, super excited for this one, always been curious as to Arwen's top games.
Seeing your shift this year, there were a few ones that surprised me because we've chatted for a few years now, and I've kind of seen, I've known of the amalgamation of your list, so
Mhm.
seeing some of the things that have popped up is very exciting to me.
And Ryan also says Olivia was wonderful to meet too. So
Thank you.
yeah, so it kind of the process behind this, I know, um this is something that's been gone over on the channel a little bit, but as far as the process behind how you came to your top 20 list, I'll go through mine first and then you can talk about yours. um
Yeah.
I did a full like pub meeple like ranking
Yeah.
last year when I was preparing to do this. This year I took all the games I played from the past year and then rated them in accordance to where I thought they lied on the pub meeple from last year.
Ah.
And then I kind of updated everything, shifted things around, that kind of thing. And that's where I wound up with the list. I may go through and do a full list next year again. We'll
Mhm.
see. But
No,
Olivia,
I
how did
felt I
you
felt the
wind up
same
with yours?
way of like I should do this again next year because it had been a couple of years since the last time I've actually like mapped out my top 20. I had a mental breakdown trying to do this. It was so hard. There were a lot of things running through my brain of is it the games that I always request to get to the table? Are there ones that have had emotional impact? Is it ones that I've played a ton of? So then I ended up breaking it, and you saw my list. I broke it up in chunks of five
Hmm.
to kind of mitigate my problem of how to decide. So it's a little bit of everything. Some of it's emotional impact or lasting impact. Some of it is just with the heart. But yeah, it was hard.
It was very difficult. And Ryan Espin saying thank you for Pub Meeple for existing.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. I'm doing the good work, really doing the good work. Okay. I do want to give a little bit of uh, I guess, kind of an honorable mention
Oh,
because I'm always breaking the rules.
here's the thing, and we do this with our end of the year roundup as well. I made a huge list. I could have done a top 50. My honorable mentions, it ended up being about 30 of them. And I was like, you know what? I can't do it. I can't do it. So you take the
I
honors.
I have one,
Oh,
one,
good.
and this doesn't fit in with anything else. But it was a game that I played last year that really inspired me to kind of think about what games could be. But it's not a game that I would traditionally pick to play. It is a very special occasion thing. It's when I have a two-player kind of thing that I coordinate in advance, and I really want to show somebody this game, and that is Doubt is Our Product
Yeah.
by Amabel Holland. We don't have any of the graphics up, but I did want to mention that because it does hold a very special place of significance to me, and really, kind of thinking about what games can do, but not really in the list of games that I really want to get out and play all the time, right? So, just wanted to give a shout out to that. But
Amabella is a great designer too, and her
yeah,
designs. It is hard to lump in her designs with anything else. They stand out in a way that I have a hard time. Like, there's a full dissertation that I feel like I could give on her design. So, good shout out.
and listen to episode 100 if you want to hear me talk with her for like 2 hours. It was great. Ryan Espen saying, Doubt is our product is a fantastic pick. Such a powerful message. I agree. It really resonated with me. Just my history with everything that's covered in there. And then, the fact that this is something that kind of keeps coming up all the time. So, but yeah, lots of great games that kind of fell short that I won't mention because it might be spoilers. But I guess we'll get into the top 20 right away here, because I know we have a lot to get through. This is 40 games. I do know that we have some crossovers, but I won't say where they are.
There is some overlap, but it'll be fun to go over it. It'll be fun to chat.
No spoilers on it.
Yeah.
Just know that there is overlap. So, Olivia, do you want to start with yours or do you want me to start?
Start with mine because then we can end on your number one.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So my 20, I, again, really struggled with this. I went back to the deepest parts of my brain and what's the oldest game that has had a big impact on me, which is backgammon. And this one, my partner taught me. So I learned it for the first time like 8 years ago. But of all the very classical board games that we've got through history, this one by far hurts my brain. Little bit of luck because you're rolling die, but a lot of strategy, and I'm still not that good at it. But the art and the pieces that you can get from it stand out to me. And for me, art and table presence is a huge deal. So the moment that I got to play this was like, how many different games and sets can I get of this? But my partner's only got 2, so we're good. But yeah, very classic game.
And it's something that you can kind of fold up into a suitcase and very portable. You take it with you. That's my backgammon set.
Yep.
Was a hand-me-down from my mom. And it was that like leather suitcase that came from the 70s, I think. And I still haven't played it very much. I've played a few games of it, and it's quite good.
Yeah. Mr. Coaster 1 says, surprise pick. We played again in the last year after having not played in 20 years. Had a great couple of nights playing it again. Yeah, it's another one that you just like play a few times in a row and see who gets like best of 3 or something like that. And we often will pack it up for camping or pack it up to take to a friend's house. So I love it.
Designed by uncredited in the year 1630.
I loved when I saw that we were putting in designers and dates and everything. I was like, I couldn't ask me. Don't ask me who designed it, where it came from. It's got some deep roots.
I love it. And a reminder to the audience that you always want to go back and play your old games, because I think that's something that's wonderful about rediscovering things. And Chris says that he would like to think they'd pick it up again quickly if he played in 25. So it's never too late. Just, pick it back up again, get some friends around the table and go for it. So my number 20 is brand new to the list. It was added this year. It is a game about making cheese, and it's called a fromage. This was Anthony's number 10 this year. I saw that, and I was delighted that I wasn't going to be the only one that picked this game. This is a delightful little worker placement game that comes on a lazy Susan that you are going to be working on your little area. You're going to be spinning the lazy Susan around and you're going to be placing workers. The thing is that each of your workers corresponds to a different type of cheese. And when you place them in an orientation that when the lazy Susan spins around, if that worker is pointed towards you, you get that worker back. So you may put them in a space that's super powerful, but you only get them back after 3 rounds. So they're going to be on the board for a while. Sometimes you strategically just place them in something that you're going to get them right back that next round and you get to place them again. Ryan Clements also said, looking forward to Formaggio. I was going to mention that. I did back that. That is on crowdfunding right now. That is a way that this is going to kind of switch up. And one of my main complaints about the game was I didn't know if it was going to be very samey or not. There's a lot of kind of different flavors that you can have with the different inserts that you put in, the different buildings that you have that you can build. But this is going to change the game right up and make it, kind of customizable and random. And, I think have a lot of variety, which is the one thing that I didn't like about this. So I'm super excited for that. I already backed that as well.
So when I saw this came out, I was 1, intrigued by the lazy Susan, but 2, I don't know if we have any Wisconsinites in the chat, but in my heart, when I see cheese, I think Wisconsin. And immediately when I was like, oh, it's French. And I immediately was like, man, I would really love a Wisconsin cheese game. So if anybody's out there and wants to make Wisconsin fromage, let me know.
Yeah, I love that. OFPG in the chat. Hello. No breaking news on this this chat right now because it's past 9:00 and my ears can't take it. But hi to Mick and Starla and Grant from Our Family Plays Games. Lovely people. Go out and check out their channel. And we love being here.
We love Chris. We love Chris. We love Tabletop Express. So it's great being here.
All right, Olivia.
Let's do it. Number 19. This is a little bit farther into the future now. We are not in the 1600s, 1700s. I always forget dates. But it's just Rummikub. This had a huge impact on me growing up. So if you've ever played Rummy or Gin Rummy, it's basically that with cubes, but like stretched out longer. I was basically a card shark at this as a child. So this was a visceral memory of mine playing as a kid, playing with the adults when my aunts and uncles would come over. They'd play this and I'd be over my parents' shoulder like, no. You've got to run right here. Play this one here and then switch out this number and you've got this and you can win the game. So it really deep impact for me. I've pretty much always owned a copy. I've always been wanting to play. Taught my partner this past Christmas, or was it 2 Christmases ago? Because we had family over and immediately everyone wanted to bring that one out. So this one hits at a core memory for me, and also it feels impossible for me to lose. So ever anybody wants to play it, I believe it's on BGA. I will play it. It's fantastic.
I know I've played an app version of it. I did not have the experience of playing this as a kid, but I know a lot of people really do love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. This to me was board game growing up. Like when we said, go get a board game out of the closet, this is the one that we would pull. And I just can't, it needs to be on my list. It's forever on my list. If this ever escaped my list, then somebody's given me a lobotomy.
Sadly, not on BGA, according to
I
Ryan.
know. I know.
That's crazy.
I thought it's either that or Rummy. I looked it up. I was like, is it? No, it could be Rummy or Gin Rummy, but I'll play any of it. See, this was the game that I used to play back in the day when Yahoo Games was a thing. I don't know if anybody in the chat played Yahoo Games back when that was around because they've gotten rid of it. I would just sit and play Gin Rummy all day. So I'm always down for a game.
Good old round of Slingo, perhaps.
Yeah.
There's a blast from 1997, maybe.
Yeah.
Ish.
It feels like 96 or 97, but I can't remember now.
Also, hello to Board Gamer Girl, Mr. Coaster, everybody in chat that we didn't get to. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi.
So my number 19 was a game that I literally played last night and got almost demolished at, but it
wasn't your first time playing last night, though.
No.
Okay, I was like, wait a second.
I have played many times before. It was actually part of the Board Game Olympics that I'm participating in. This is Brass Birmingham, Ryan's number 3.
Yeah.
This was at number 17 for me last year. Slipped down a little bit, but it's one of those things that year to year you're going to have a little bit of variation. I love this. I really liked Lancashire quite a bit, but the addition of beer as a resource really steps things up. I think that it fits naturally in the puzzle and just kind of steps things up a little bit. The resources that you're putting out on your board and your opponents being able to use them, and you actually sometimes want your opponents to use your resources so that your tile flips, you get more income, therefore you can place more stuff out on the board, is really a really cool puzzle. And then the use of timing in this is critical as well. I think it's one of the best games I've ever seen in trying to manipulate when you go. Do you want to go in last and have the resources available that other people are going to build? Do you want to go first and make sure that you get everything that you need out on the board? Those decisions are just so juicy. I absolutely love this game. I don't think that it's slipping off my top 20 anytime soon. Even though it's right on the edge, it is just such a good game, and evidenced by the fact that I played it again last night.
Did you win?
No, I came in third.
Okay.
But I had a great time playing it. Board Gamer Girl says, I need to get this game to the table. It's a favorite, but I've only played multiplayer once. I've mostly played solo using a fan-made variant. Same here.
I've never played this fan-made. I don't own this one. A friend owns it, and I've played it once or twice. And I remember thinking, ooh, very juicy. I like this. But we haven't gotten it to the table since I've been at game night. If I can remember how to play, Natalie, maybe that we can add that to our list of games. I don't think this one's on BGA now that I'm thinking about it. I don't think that's.
It's sadly not, because I tried to find it. It is available as an like a Steam version. It's okay in its implementation. It's not great, but it's okay. The one thing that I will say, the rules manual, I wish they had maybe put the profiles of the people to the back, because I want information. I really don't care about a bunch of industrialists. I just want my information and I want to get going.
That was one that I picked up and I went, where are the women? And then immediately it was like, okay.
There's
I get it.
2 out of 6.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Not the greatest for representation, but a very good game from a mechanics perspective. So
Chris says, friendly reminder that Arwen is the host of Cardboard Time podcast, and make sure you go check it out. There's so many good episodes. I say that having been on a handful, but so many good episodes to listen to with a lot of designer interviews that I love checking in on.
Go listen to Emily Vincent's this this week. It's very,
Yeah.
very good. A lot of great talk about representation in the industry, the effect of tariffs, a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. 18, my pick. This was the last of the like sweet spot memory ones for me. And this one was Scythe. This was officially like my first big girl game. And it really got me in with the theme, the art from, and I might mispronounce his name, but Jacob Brzezalski, which it brought in a theme that I didn't realize could be in board games. And this was back when I was just getting Catan to the table. I think Catan, Small World, and Ticket to Ride were the first 3 introductory games. So this was the first one that I actually got to play with a little bit of depth. There's a lot of kind of worker placement, action selection. It's very constricted. Which is why it's, it's staying on my list for the memory, but you're very restricted in, being able to choose one of 4 options. And then being able to kind of build an engine. I don't know if we call that one engine building, but there you unlock certain powers as you go on that maybe give you a little bit more to do next turn. But you're just racing to get to be the first one to get a certain amount of victory points, and there's multiple ways of doing it. It's again very constricted sandbox, but still there. It's still very good introduction to like what this world can look like. So for me, that one always kind of sticks on the list. It was also the first minis-ish game that I got to play, and the first minis that I painted. So I love it. Christopher Sherman says, I love seeing new games to try. Now it is finding someone with more intellect than me to play with and show me how to play. The rulebooks are hard for me. They've always been a sour point for me. If I can, I always look at videos when I learn something new, or I have Arwen teach me when I come visit.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Having a spare Arwen helps. Sadly, I can't visit Chris as much as I'd like to. Chris lives in my hometown, my hometown. So
yeah,
sadly, I'd like to get back there a little bit more and teach, but just crazy busy with everything else going on. But
yeah.
Scythe was kind of the big news in 2016.
Yeah.
It was a big deal where everybody had to have it and everybody was playing it. I haven't gone back to that in a little bit, and maybe I should. It's still on my shelves, but
it stays on my shelves. It was one of the first bigger ones that I introduced to my partner as well. So I think core memory for him on that as well. But yeah, we have friends that come by and point at it and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, I don't even know. There's a lot to teach now. And this one again is good for that introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. So my number 18 is one that has slipped significantly since last year. It was my number 7 last year, and that is Twilight Imperium 4th edition.
This one was on my long list of like, it started out in my top 20 and then quickly just got like bumped out.
It is such a good game. It is fantastic when you have the group and you have the time set aside. I think it does take a hit in the fact that it has so many requirements to get to the table that you just need to set up so much and have everything fall in line and all these domino pieces basically sitting. Our game, our first game of this, we set aside time like a month and a half in advance to play this. But there's so many stories and so many memories that I have playing this game. Basically take a day, and find somebody that has this. You don't
Take a
need a
date
copy of it.
early in the morning,
Yep.
8 a.m., get ready.
Yep. Go get yourself some breakfast.
Mhm.
Or, have somebody cook you some breakfast. Grab a pizza for lunch and throw the crock pot on for dinner, because you're going to be needing all of that in playing this game. It's not as heavy as you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
You look at this game. It is a
It's
crock pot game.
I love that. I'm stealing that. That's fantastic.
Such good terminology.
Yes, absolutely. Fun fact, this weekend, starting tomorrow, I have a bachelor party. There's going to be 15 of us, and we're going to be playing 2 side-by-side Twilight Imperium games, along with Twilight Imperium Inscription, because that's all Bachelor wanted to play. So it's on my list. It's really good. Like you said, it's not that heavy. It's not as heavy as you anticipate. This one really is just building out your spaceship and trying not to die. It just takes a bit.
And it's just such a lovely, like, galactic opera that, you have those stories that come from this. And I just love it. And again, I do think that it's waned a little bit because I'm a year out from that experience. And it's just so much fun. The problem was, the fact that it's been some time and you need a lot to get it to the table.
Yeah. Like I said, that one was originally on the list, but it got booted because it's been a while for me too. It won't be a while starting Saturday at 8 a.m. whenever we're going to start that one. Okay. My 17 is a fun kind of, it's board game adjacent, it's tabletop, but it's Gaslands Refueled. So this is a miniatures game. And I love it for it being a sort of minis agnostic and also a very entry level way to play miniatures games. It's just a wacky racing game where you're playing with like little Hot Wheels cars and just moving it along based on certain tracks that you've got. Obviously, there's some shooting and there are shenanigans that you can do. Oftentimes, the car I take can teleport, and if it can't teleport, it ends up backwards. It's just wild. It's wild fun. I've got friends who really go all out for their terrain. There's some wacky wailing inflatable tube men that a friend had painted up. But yeah, all you need to buy into this game really is just the book and then a Hot Wheels car. Super easy. Mike Hutchinson is the designer. Back in 2019, this was published. He made another minis game recently that I think is a very similar, you can use whatever minis you want for a game, which I personally like because miniature games can get pretty expensive with all that plastic. So having something that's like, you may already have Hot Wheels from when you were a kid. Let's find good use for it. Ryan said, I bought a Hot Wheels Fantastic car just for Espen to teach me how to play this game. It's fantastic. You need to learn. Let me bring this to a convention somehow and get all of the terrain, because I would love to run something like this, because it's man, everybody at the table is laughing with this one, having a good time, hooting and hollering. So, Arwen, I've got to get you to play.
I need to play this at some point, and that is something that I want to play with you when we get an opportunity at some point. I need to play this.
It's great. Adepticon is next week, which is the miniatures convention of the year here in the US. I unfortunately am not playing this because there's another game higher up on my list that I'm going to be playing, but we'll get to that.
Oh, I think I know what it is. So my number 17 is also new to the list this year,
Yeah.
and it is Nita Vetlier. This is a game that I played initially like 2 years ago, had a fantastic time with it, but it didn't quite sit in my top 20. Played it again, played it again, played it again, and it just keeps moving up that list. It is a fantastic like auction game where you're basically blind bidding. You're using these tokens that you see. On the left hand side was the big haul that I got, where I upgraded the tokens,
Yeah.
the card sleeves, alternate art, playmat, everything. Just because it is such a fantastic game. It's very highly accessible for newer players to understand.
Mhm.
It's super easy to teach people, exactly what all the different cards do, and then you're off to the races. The other really cool thing about this is you basically start to upgrade your chips. If you play out one of the chips that basically puts you in last in the bidding turn order, and then you get to upgrade 2 chips and basically combine them, get rid of your lowest one,
Mhm.
and I think it's the lowest one. It might be
Is
the
it?
highest one.
Yeah,
It might be
I
the
think it could
highest
be the
one.
highest one. Yeah, yeah. This one I've struggled with. This one has been because I played it multiple times now, and it is one of those games that's very easy to teach, but the depth that's in it, when you are playing with folks who have played it a bunch and have figured out that depth, there was you could see the difference for me. My brain was just like, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I like everything that I'm doing, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's cute. And did you see at Hachette this year at Gamma, they have kind of a reskin of the game, including like,
No.
it's I forget, this one is dwarves, and I forget what the other one was, maybe Vikings, but
Okay.
it's pretty much same thing, with like a few tweaks to rules, so you should check that out when it comes out. I'd be interested to hear how it compares to this for you.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. Yeah, so the pronunciation of
Yeah.
this is something that I had no idea, so I looked it up online and that's what came out. So,
You
that
said
was
it, and I was like, you said it with such confidence. I trust that whatever you're saying is right.
just do it's a rule in life. Just
Yeah.
do everything with
Yeah.
confidence and
Yep.
nobody questions you. It's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Um but yeah, it's such a good game. I do still need to play this with all the expansion content, but I will
Yeah.
play this at any time
The
with people.
expansions are good, and it's one of those where it was like, okay, now that I've got the expansion, that's permanently how I would like to play. It adds. I forget. I've played it so much with the expansion that I can't remember what's base and what's expansion at this point. But you should check it out because it's really good. Okay, on to my 16. So this one I couldn't get this off my list. I kept trying to think, because here's the thing. I hate word games. I hate them with a passion. And this is the one and only word game that I have fallen in love with. It is Phantom Inc. by Resonim. So I have to fully admit here, I used to work for Resonim. I was a social media and community manager before or after the game was published. So like, this game had already been published, so I had nothing to do with it. But I freaking love it. The theme is great. Essentially, you are split up in teams of two. One person on your team is a ghost trying to speak to the other members on the team. And you are asking the ghost questions that they can respond with. When they respond, they're going to write on this pad, and they're going to write it one letter at a time. At any point, you can tell the ghost to stop, and you will end up with half-written words, maybe even one letter of a word, so that the other team doesn't know the question, doesn't fully know what the answer is, and you're all collectively trying to figure out this one word together. It goes really fast. It's not one where I'm struggling to figure out a word and conjure it up in my brain. Please tell me I'm not the only one that struggles with trying to say one singular word. It's it's terrible. But this is the first one that was like, I genuinely feel engaged with my friends who love word games and love like party themed kind of games. Yeah, Natalie says this one is so fun. I am not good at them, but live in a world of many world game fanatics as well. I feel so bad because like I always want to bring any kind of party game to the table for those that like only want to do that. So I've strictly stuck with this one. And they have a PDF online that you can free to print out, and you can make a big version like we had at conventions and everything. It's just a joy. It's a joy to play. I love it.
I was going to say, Chris Sherman did play that big version. I do have the big version I made for myself at home. And it's not terribly expensive to do. And it just, it makes the game so much fun. I love this game as well. I think this is something that I initially kind of wrote off as like, oh, it's kind of like Codenames kind of thing. Similar vibes, but very, very different games. And I would almost say that I would prefer to get this to the table rather than Codenames.
Yeah, they have an expansion that just came out as well that has like cute little crystals, and they had like disappearing ink pen. I know, and I was like, I have to have that. I need that. I'm actually genuinely, you know what? No, the designers Mary Flanagan, Max Seidman. I'm actually mad at you guys that you created a word game that I love so dearly, because I thought that I was gonna go to the grave not liking anything, but here I am.
Plus, you can play it cooperatively now with the expansion, which makes it even better.
Love that game.
A very, very good game.
Yeah.
Solid pick for Olivia once again. My number 16 is also new to the list this year. I have played a little bit of this. Like, it's
I need to know. I need to know because also Natalie, Board Gamer Girl, learned this one, I think, at Gamma. So I need thoughts. I need thoughts on this, because if it's on your list, I want to know.
It's Darwin's Journey.
Yeah.
Fantastic worker placement game, especially if you like combos. If you like setting things up and you're going to go from this area and then do this action and then do this action and then do this action, this game is so good for that. If you like that kind of gameplay, this is right up your alley. The artwork is absolutely lovely. I love the theme behind it. The gameplay makes sense. It is a little bit of a chore to learn, but once you learn it and once you learn what the different areas are, it flows so incredibly well. Plus, you get little squishy seals if you have the deluxe edition that you can put down on your board, and they're like little kind of thing. It's like the Pringles of board games. Once you pop, you just can't stop. I know.
Yeah.
We played back-to-back games at one point, and it is.
That's how you know. That's how you know it's a good game. When you play with a board like that and with choices like that, if you play that back-to-back, that's how I know I need to check it out.
And it's not a short game either.
It doesn't look short.
That back-to-back, but so many paths to victory. So many lovely decisions to make. It has some nice kind of indirect player interaction. It is so good.
All of that is music to my ears. You're basically just saying, Olivia, check out this game. You're gonna love it. Yeah.
Next time you're in the area.
Add it to the list. I love that it's new to your list and it's number 16. So it wasn't even like it was low. It immediately bumped up.
Yep.
Ugh.
Squishy seals are great except when drawing from the bag and they're stuck together. Yes, that is the only thing that's bad about them. They do stick together. Tyler from Cavre and my coworker Kevin played it at Gamma for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I think it's a long game. It's an investment, but instead of going and playing Twilight Imperium, because who needs that? That's down at number 18. That's trash. Just go and play back-to-back Darwin's Journey and get your crockpot going. It's great.
Fantastic. Okay. My number 15. This is new to me this year. None of you know that because you've never seen my top 20 list, but this is completely new to me. And it is Blood Bowl. Specifically the newer edition, the 2016 edition. This is a miniatures game from Games Workshop. What another one that's just what a joy to play. What stupid fun. You are playing miniatures football. And your teams, my team name is Renesmee's Ruffians because they're based off of the Twilight characters because they're vampires. They've got sparkly faces and everything. It's just a joy. You're just playing football, but the fantasy version. So, you're kicking people down and you're making illegal moves that the ref has to call out. It's wild. I recently got into this through a league from my friendly local game store. Shout out to Tower Games. We love you, Nova. I don't often feel comfortable in the miniature space because it is mostly men that are on it. I have played games at Adepticon where some guys aren't the greatest to play with, but this is stupid fun. So most people aren't taking it seriously anyways. So I love getting this one to the table. I'm going on my third league now, third season. Chris says this one always makes me think about Mutant League football, and that gives me great joy. What is that?
Long live the Sega Genesis, Chris.
Oh, see, I wasn't a Sega girly. I was Nintendo. Yeah. That'll
Sega
do it.
Genesis.
That'll do it.
That was fantastic. This is on my shelf of aspiration to play. I have the 2016 edition. They are still like sprued and everything. They're just sitting there. So at some point, someday.
Yeah. If you guys follow me on Instagram, this is mostly what I'm talking. This is mostly what I'm talking about. I know a few people reached out like, "Is this going to be your number one?" And it's too new to me, which is why it is. I need time to really process. I need space away from it, and I haven't had enough space because this has become my whole life at this point. But it probably should have been, top 5.
That's why I was saying I do expect this to go higher for you. I'm interested to see how high it does go because you talk about it a lot.
So. Yeah. I've got many teams. I think I've got like 5 or 6 teams at this point. I'll be playing it at Adepticon next week. I think that's really going to sell it for me. I want to see how it ends up being at the show next week. OFPG said, "I can't go down the miniature road with it. Starla would kill me, but I have it on my mobile phone." Yes, there's you can get it on Steam. You can play it. I hear it's a really good rendition of it as well. We love that. We love that so much, Mick. I think playing it digitally, that counts. That's a board game.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be afraid to count that either.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's perfectly valid.
Yeah, but miniatures do take up a lot of space. If I could pan to the rest of this office, you would see.
Also, shout out to Tower Games because I met somebody from Tower Games while I was at Gamma, and they were so lovely.
Yes, you met the buyer. I've got him in my Discord, and I can... Travis, you met Travis most likely.
Maybe.
because he was the one there. Also does all the miniature stuff, and is kind of definitely old school. Played like OG Blood Bowl, and I love him for it. They're a joy. If you're in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, Tower Games is really a lovely and safe place, and so I love that.
Fantastic. Well, my number 15 again is new to the list.
I know
Olivia
why.
has played this.
Yeah.
I know that Olivia's played this because Olivia played this with me the last time that she was here. This is The Gang. This game is essentially cooperative poker. And when you tell people that, they are just like, well, that sounds stupid. I don't like that. You know, what's the sense of cooperative poker, or as Starla might say, semi-co-op, but we all know that's cooperative. This is so incredibly easy to teach people who have never even played poker in their lives. So I sat with multiple different tables of groups of people who had never played poker, and
myself
I said,
included.
Yep, Olivia included, and she can testify as to the fact that this is so easy to pick up. You just go, you run some hands, people get it, they understand it, and they just run with it. There's a lot of great tension at the table. You're trying to rank your sets of cards. So basically, Starla heard that.
It's okay. It's good. It's good.
It's good. It's good.
Good.
But you're trying to rank your sets of cards and your poker hands that you're making without seeing each other's cards. So it's kind of like the mind in that way, but you're signaling with the poker chips that you're taking, whether you take the big values, whether you take the small values. You have challenges that come in. If you win a hand, you get a little challenge that's going to make the next round a little bit more difficult and a little bit more spicy. And it's just so incredibly good. And I have played this so much this year that it could not be on this list.
It should have been. Oh, hi, Mer. The Gang was my most played game at Gen Con last year. Yeah, this should have been on my list. But again, I was afraid to pick something new where I needed space from it. I've had no space from this game because you introduced it to me. And the moment you introduced it to me, I fell in love and said, I need to buy it and show this to everybody and get everybody playing it. And that first round is when, like Arwen said, you introduce it as cooperative poker. Folks are kind of just like, I don't think I need that. After one round, they realize the genius of this game. And for $14.99, I truly, Cosmos, this is on me because I think I've overlooked Cosmos in the past. I don't play like the exit games or anything. So I thought I don't know. It could be anything. I've now played this and it's by far one of my favorite games and the most played game that I played in 2024. And then I played The Crew recently and that's genius. Their games are great.
Yeah. I mean, the Crew is fantastic. Inside Job is really fascinating.
Another great experience with you, right? Like I have all of these, and again, I'm like, is this just core memory? Is it just because I love playing these games with you? No, they're great games.
They're just great games.
Yeah.
Nun Attack also one that I did not see a lot of coverage out for. I would highly recommend people go check that out because it is so crazy. Starless said give it time. Give it time, Starla.
Let it cook.
Give it time because I think it is going to be higher on my list
for sure
as I continue to play it more. I could see a couple of games where it may surpass just because it is so incredibly good and it just gets out to the table so much.
Are you gonna have this one at your wedding?
I may.
Because I know you've got some games that are going to be at your wedding, and I'm like, well, this one.
It makes sense. Also, a giant version of Ready Set Bet is going to be there.
Excuse me, I need to go fly to Ohio for the next X months and be ready for this game. I'm so excited.
I am too.
Nonetheless, good pick. Should have been on my list. Wasn't on my list.
Always next year.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to say that now. Everybody keep me in check if it's not on my list next year. So my number 14 then. This one is a game that I love and everybody that I know can play it, all gamers alike. The Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is such a fantastic push your luck bag building game. It's easy to catch up. There's some catch up mechanics if you fall behind because you've pushed your luck too hard. But you're essentially, I don't think you're witches in that one, but you are alchemists trying to get all these ingredients for your potions, and the potions all do a different thing. And there's different variants of each potion, so you can make it a little bit harder if you want. It's delicious. I love this game. I love pushing my luck and getting the BGG clacky bits, the little plasticky. Yeah, because I need to have upgraded. Again, I'm extra, but I love it. And this one came out in 2018, and I've been obsessed with it ever since. Like the moment it came out, easily one of my top games. I love it.
So this one is my number 3.
That's right. There's overlap.
It is my number 3.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is just, it's so satisfying. It does pressure luck so incredibly well. It was my number 4 last year. And I felt like it just satisfies so much. There's so much variability. There's so much variety that, you can introduce into the game with all the different books. You can get the expansions. You can get even more variety that way. I love the new box art that is coming out. Like, it is so incredibly cute. I think that, some people may not necessarily like it. I'm a big fan. Yeah. I really do like it. I don't care. I'm going to come out as a fan of it.
Something that was huge for 2020, for those of us that all remember, this was a really easy one that I could play virtually. This is one that I could set up webcam and say like, hey, let's play this game. You don't need to be in person to see anything because you're all building your own bag. Yeah, I mean, this has been, and the expansions, there's a couple of expansions that also add more depth to it, and I love it. You just can't go wrong with this one. And I've taught it to non-gamers as well, which I think is key. This is one of the bigger ones that I can get non-gamers into that are just having fun pulling things out of a bag.
And I think that's something else too that this does really well is the catch-up mechanism keeps people in the game.
Yep.
The fact that, there is that pressure luck element to it that's always there. That's going to keep people in the game where usually the best player is going to win. But it keeps it interesting to the fact that, somebody can have a mess up and still win.
Yes.
They're not completely out and they're sitting there for another, 7 rounds or whatever. And
sometimes you want to push it. Sometimes it benefits you to push your luck at the beginning. I think, what a great design. That one is just fantastic.
Yeah. And I think art aside, I think no matter what you think about the art, I think that this is a game that a lot of people are just going to inherently like. So.
Yeah.
My number 14 is my number 16 from last year. It is Star Wars in a Box. That is Star Wars Rebellion. This game is a 2-player heads-up game, strategy game. One player is playing the Empire. The other is playing the Rebels. And you are just basically, if you're the rebels, you're trying to hide from the Empire and make sure that you survive long enough to enact your plans and rebel against the Empire. The Empire is trying to track the rebels down and, kind of figure out where they are. There's a lot of different things from the movie that kind of come into play. A little bit of a, alternate universe going on in some cases, that different things happen that didn't happen in the movies, but it feels like Star Wars, like no other game that I have played. It does take a bit of time.
It
But
looks like it takes time.
it takes for me, it takes about 4 hours
Yeah.
between the setup and
That's not too bad though.
Yeah. It is an epic game that you put that investment in. It's thematic to a fault. The Empire feels just incredibly powerful and overbearing, but they're super slow. The rebels can kind of skirt around and basically make moves that get them out of harm's way from the Empire. It is just such a good game. If you like 2-player games, this is one of my favorites. Yeah.
Is it 2-player only?
2-player only.
I did not realize so Fantasy Flight, and they've got all of the Star Wars AP. They did a really good job with their their Star Wars deck building. Very thematic as well, where you had mentioned the Empire being very powerful but slow versus the Rebels, and it was a very similar vibe. I should check this one out.
So Chris said, I wanted to play that so bad, but I see the price and the mechanics, and it makes me say nope. It's a game that you try to find a friend that has it, especially for the price. Chris Barrow says, great game, fantastic 2-player one, but I find myself playing Outer Rims more for some reason. I do want to play Outer Rim at some point, because I've heard that it's very good, but haven't had the opportunity as of yet.
It looks fun. I'm interested to check that one out.
Expansion is waiting to play. Heard it fixes combat. Combat can get a little bit crazy. It's a little bit back and forth. That's one thing that I think if Fantasy Flight did another edition of this, I would like to see them clean up is the combat a little bit.
Good pick though. In a similar fashion, my number 13 pick is extra super fighty. It's Root. A lot of put 'em ups. Root is a fantastic game by Leader Games. Cole Worley is it's a fantastic designer in my eyes. I like the asymmetric powers that you've got in the asymmetric teams, and they just keep building more and more little woodland creatures. But if you know nothing about Root, it's a fight between woodland creatures. Everybody's got different ways to win, so it might not necessarily be boots on the ground fighting someone. It might be actually sharing. The otters like to share things. You're just trying to find your way to a specific amount of victory points. I love how cute this game is and how mean it can get, because I really love mean games. With the right people, I really enjoy playing a game where we are aggressively trying to win. But the screen printed meeples, everything that Leader Games puts out is adorable because it's got the Kyle Farron art, and bless him, he makes some of the scariest. There's the scariest design of like, ooh, this is a mean thing, and then Kyle Farron comes in there with like, what if I just made it a little bit cute though? So this one, I can't imagine this will ever get bumped off the list. I don't get to play it often because Cole Worley games are definitely for specific players, and I understand that not everybody in the group wants to play mean. Another one, shout out to Arcs. That one I really wanted to have on my list, but again, I tried to stay off of anything that was designed or published, put out this year. Cole Worley, just God, the designs that he makes really hit for me. Everything feels very nice. I feel very satisfied walking away from a game, even if I have lost by a huge amount. I feel pretty good with his designs.
Yeah, and Root's one that I really would like to play more of, and I just don't ever really find the group to do that. So it's a very specific kind of thing.
Cole's designs are definitely, which is very funny to me because I find some of the most difficult players being the ones that are like, I have to have every single game of his. And I'm like, my guy, I don't think you like this that much, though. I can't tell. Like, I'm over here laughing and I'm in last place, and you're having an emotional episode here and you're in second. Like, I think we all need to breathe from this one. But that is my style of playing, is just, if I'm not laughing at the table, something has gone wrong.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about the Cole Worley games. I mean, with Arcs, it took forever to get my review copy to the table.
Yeah.
Finally did, but yeah, it's finding that right group and the right players to play with.
Yeah. Mick says, Root, good game, need the right group. Yeah, always.
Yep, absolutely.
Always. I really should start challenging people online more, or just like sign, because I think I've got Root on Steam. And at least then I don't have to hear the table talk of it all. And so maybe that's the route that I need to stick with.
And you don't have to be, feel bad about being mean to people, because you'll never see them again. So,
and I don't know them, and that'd be great.
I think that's the biggest thing that I have a problem with, is I don't want to be mean to my friends.
You can be mean to me. I give you permission.
Danny, also hello to you. My number 13 is my number 9 from last year. It is my favorite verb and right of all time, still to this day. That is Cartographers.
This one also was on my list of, I had it on there because of all of the, like you said, the verb and rights. This is my favorite one.
I just need to make sure that that's an accurate statement. Yes, it is. Okay, good. I didn't screw that up. This is a masterful game in trying to balance scoring conditions. So you have 4 scoring conditions out. You know that, in the first round, you're going to score A and B. Second round, B and C. Third round, C and D. Fourth round, A and D. So the question is, how do you build out your village, city, area, map that is going to get you the most points with those conditions? And when do you go for them? When do you, make a bunch of different decisions? But it's still so easy to grasp and pick up and teach. And I think that's one thing for me that a lot of games that do hit, for me, are very common in the fact that they are easy to teach and they're easy to get to the table. And just being able to fill out your board so that you score a massive amount of points in one of the categories is so incredibly satisfying. I love it. I've never had it miss with anybody that I've played it with. And we've always had a great time with this game. I will basically pick up all the maps as they come out.
Yeah. Of the verb and rights, I really enjoy the ones like this, where you end up with a sheet that is wildly different than the other players at the table. I find that to be, because there are some where it's like, I look over and you're doing the same thing as me, and it doesn't feel as juicy. So this one's one of my favorites by far for just the variability of it all. Good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah. My number 12 is the first of the Uwe games. So it is Le Havre. And this one was designed by my most beloved designer, Uwe Rosenberg. This was one of his 2008 games, so one of his earlier designs. And the reason that I chose this one, it's not one of his big box games, but it is kind of maybe like a medium box, and it's a very good introduction to his designs. So it is kind of a city building economic game. You are gaining resources as well as playing cards, which is really like the two key components of his like big box games. That kind of card choices as well as getting those resources. I really like the design as a whole. Where it is, I forget if it's like a French shipping city. Boy, Le Havre should give it away. It's clear I didn't take French or anything like that in school. But it's great. The theme hits really well, like all of his designs. It's short enough that you are not invested for like a long-term game, but it still has some very interesting choices that shift every single game that you play it. Uwe is going to be a theme for me. It's not like it's consumed my top 10 or anything, but his designs are just, I love them. I love them dearly.
I definitely know that. There's a reason that I definitely know that.
Yeah. Which we'll know later.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I love a good kind of solitaire game that you can play. So this one is my favorite. Of if you're going for like a medium weight, go for this one. I like this one a lot.
Love that. Still have yet to play it, but someday. I'll get.
I say that we say this every time we get together. I'll bring it the next time, and then we've ended up with 500 games.
We get to like a third of them.
We do.
It's fine. Eventually we'll get through those. It's all good. Yeah. My number 12 is my number 14 from last year. It is Rococo, the deluxe edition specifically.
That is an important caveat. I needed to know if you've played with the OG or if it was this one.
I've played with both.
The table presence is just...
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites for a few different reasons. The first is the table presence of it.
Yeah.
The second is the theme being so incredibly different from spice trading, building empires. You're making dresses, and trying to get them on the right people, for the fancy ball that's at the end of the night. I love the deck building in this. I love the culling mechanism that you are going through your hand. You are constantly trying to tailor your deck so that it's lean. It has all the best cards that you need in there. It has the right cards that you need at the right time so that you can do the thing, get your person up to the fireworks exhibition on the roof where they're going to score a ton of points. Just such a fantastic, lovely game that I don't get to play enough because it does take a while. But it is just such a cool theme that I love. My number 12, Rococo.
And I don't know if this is this is definitely, I think, our first and maybe only, but shout out to Ian O'Toole for the illustrations and the graphic design. If you are new to gaming and new to like chunkier games, Ian O'Toole makes it so easy to understand where to put your pieces, what you should be looking at on the board. The graphic design of a game is very important for me because it is very easy to get like scatterbrained from it all. And Board Gamer Girl says, I need to get this, but the price point has always made me nervous for the play. I've got a fun story for this one. So we had a board gaming weekend, was up way too late one night, and had to drive back down to my city afterwards, which was a couple of hours. I sleepily wanted to purchase Rococo, and it was Eagle Griffin Games. It was this version, and thought that I was purchasing it, and instead accidentally purchased Lisboa from Eagle Griffin Games. Similar, but not the same. Not the same. Not the same. And I like reached out to them and I was like, hey, I made a mistake. I was very sleepy when I made this order. And they were like, it's already shipping to you. If you want to return it, you can, but like it'll be a used return. And I was like, well, I might as well try it out. That's also another one that should have been on my list because that one's a great one too.
I still need to play that. Emma's from Meeple. Morgan has been wanting to play Rococo for a long time, but she wants to try it before we buy it. So I will say that I own a copy. If people wind up in the same place as I am, and we can make that happen, if you remind me, I will bring it places because I love playing it. It is such a good game.
And it's not as hard as it looks. Like it is a deluxeified edition, but it is not something that you can't easily teach someone, and you're a very good teacher.
Thank you. Yeah. And Mitch is close enough; he can come over and just play, so it's all good.
My 11 is one that I love teaching everybody. A tiny board game called Papagino. Shout out to Brooke at Leader Games who introduced this game to me, and I have since spread that joy. This one is a Helvetique game, and they specialize in like very tiny, very similar to Oink, but like smaller, ever so smaller board game boxes. And we played, this was a Tabletop Express event, I believe, that we played Papagino, that I played that with you.
Yeah. I think it was the night of the event, or like afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, it's very easy. I found out that I believe it is just a game called Golf, which is you could play with a deck of cards if you wanted to. So it's kind of a spin-off of that with like a few special powers that are very important.
It's not as fun.
It's not as fun. Yeah. And also look at the cute birds. This is a game that you can play in 3 to 5 minutes and teach less than that. You are essentially playing all of your birds face down, and you're trying to reveal all of them in order to have the least amount of points. So if you get matching birds on a column, they cancel each other out, and that's 0 points. It's cute. It's adorable. I pack that with me at every convention. I bring that with me camping. You can attest to it, Arwen. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, it really is, and I know that it hits your top 20 list. I love playing it every single time that I've played it. It's been fantastic. I think that it is something that if you want to, especially if your groups that you're trying to target with your board games really like those small box games, quick experiences, easy to learn, this is definitely one that's easy to learn. I mean, I think you set it up on the table and we were going within like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Super easy to teach and very, very fun.
Yeah.
And
this one definitely hit my list of like, I will literally never say no to this game. You can pull this game out. I'm like, I've got time for you. I've got time. Great, let's play.
I always have time for Popo Gijo.
Popo Gijo. Mr. Papagino.
So Chris says, have a great top 10. Work comes too early. Believe me, I know about that. Great listening to you both and learning about new games. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. And don't forget that you can always check out the replay in the morning or whenever you get home from work or at work. Just don't get fired. So.
Yeah, we didn't say it, but you can definitely watch us while at work.
Yeah, exactly. We give you permission.
Yeah.
My number 11 was my number 12 from last year. I did get an opportunity to play this a couple of times this year. It is Russian Railroads. This is literally engine building. You are building different trains. It is kind of a heavier game, but it's not too terrible to learn. There's just a lot of strategic choice. You've got some worker placement that goes on with it. You've got a lot of not direct player interaction, but a lot of hate drafting and trying to, out jockey your positions and make sure that you get that space that you really need. There's so many pathways to victory, though. You've got the track that you see down at the bottom that you're building out that basically once you retire a train, it goes down to the bottom, it flips over, you get this little special ability whenever you pass over it, that's going to give you more actions. You start off this game and the first round you might have like 10 points.
Yeah.
And I think I've seen games go up to 350, 400 points. And it is just crazy how quickly things ramp up in that. You're setting yourself up in your first round to really have an explosive last couple of rounds. It is so satisfying when you get things going, everything goes the right way. You've built this massive engine up. I love this game. It is one that, again, I will play anytime that somebody wants to play it. Absolutely love it.
I've wanted to learn this one for a bit. It is the brain rot that I have of like, it's not very pretty. And I'm still, I need everything to be pastel is what it is. I need the Rococo version of Russian Railroads. But I'm a train girl. Like this has been right up my alley and building off of the type of mechanics. I think you're just going to have to teach it to me someday so that I can learn it. And when it ever does get a deluxeified version, we're probably going to see the decline of deluxeified, but maybe.
You never know. Someday, like 10 years from now.
Yeah. When the economy comes back. Awesome. We're at the top 10 now, which is very exciting. I'm very excited to go over my number 10. It is Blood on the Clock Tower, which again, I have a lot of board game adjacent. I think this is a genius design. I can't remember if it was actually published and released in 2022 because I feel like I was playing it much sooner than 2022 because it took a while to get all the pieces out. But if you've ever played Werewolf and wanted to play a hidden role trader game in which when you die, you still get to actually play the game, this is the game for you. I have, Natalie, I've played some really good games. I played some really good games with Arwen and Natalie together, that just wild games. Some of the roles that you can play do some really fun things. It's like Werewolf, but it's like so much funner. There's just so much you can do. I really love being the GM for these because there is one person who kind of maintains the roles of everybody and makes sure the game is running, as well as making sure that there's still tension in the game. So you kind of lose a lot of tension with Werewolf because there's nobody running it. And, it's very possible that the werewolf always dies or gets called out. In this one, there's a lot of good tension. And again, it's maybe because I like to be mean and play mean games, but I love trader games. I love hidden role games. I like to figure out who's bad, who's not. Tabletop Express is asking if there's any ideal player count for this. That is different per GM. I've heard a lot of things. I've got some who you played at Gen Con, Arwen, and I think that they said like 8 maybe for their game.
Yeah. and I think it depends on the scenario. It depends on the game. I would say, yeah, Natalie, that 7 to 13 is kind of the range. You don't want to go too low. It's not interesting. It doesn't last as long as you need to. I think anything over that, and it does get bogged down, it does go a little bit too long. You need a reset after a certain period of time. That's kind of the sweet spot, in my opinion.
I've played a lot of 8 to 10s, and that we might play like back-to-back games if everybody is sober and, you know, enjoying themselves. I personally think like 10 to 13 is my sweet spot, especially if we're mostly sober and not too rowdy and not completely losing the train of thought. Oh, Emma's for Meeple says, being the GM gives me anxiety. Being a demon gives me anxiety. Playing this game gives me anxiety. I have a friend like that, and we chose a house rule that anybody that shows up to the game that is like super anxious or like doesn't want to play because they don't want to be the traitor or they want to have a little bit more control, we always give them the option of showing them 2 roles and saying you can choose one. Or you can pick one up and choose to give it back and pick up another one. That way, they could still choose the traitor if they want to, but they're giving off the vibe that they might not want to be the traitor. I think giving some players who have that like deep anxiety more control makes the game funner, because I've made someone cry playing this game once, and I like never want to go down that path ever again. It was a very, very close friend. We were all very tired at Gen Con, but like, I want to, that's why I like GMing. I think I want to make sure that like people are comfortable.
I think that, so this was on my top 20 last year.
Oh.
This is a game that I would love to play with Mick. Especially.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
You have certain people that you just know like would bring a certain energy and like so much fun into that game. And I think this is one that I would love to see Mick play.
Yeah. Anytime y'all are at convention, this is a shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody here. If there's ever a Blood on the Clock Tower game running, reach out to me, because like I would like to be there. I will be there at 1 a.m. on my birthday for some reason, showing up with strangers.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Grand Con might be an option now that I think about it. So we'll talk about that.
Oh my God, we gotta get Mick.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Good. The energy, I can feel the energy on that. Perfect.
That's something, if I brush up on my GM skills or whatever, maybe I could run something on one of the Saturday nights or something at one of the cons. I've been wanting to GM a game at some point. So, well, my number 10 is also new to the list. It is a game that I have played a lot of, especially recently. It is Anthony's number 5, and it's Cascadia.
And this is my number 3.
That is crazy. So I bought this game when it came out, and I played it. I'm like, yep, cool game. I get it. Played a few rounds of it. I'm like, I understand the hype behind it, but it kind of went away for a little bit. I circled back to it for specific reasons I can't talk about while I was out in Seattle.
What? Girl, we need to talk after that.
I can't talk about it.
Oh, okay, fine. That's fine. I respect.
At least in public. So I circled back to this because, I was like, I need to play this again.
Yeah.
I think I was missing something on this. As I played more and more, I really started to appreciate how deep it was, the different strategies that you could come up with, the different ways that everything felt. and just the way that everything played. I think that this is a game that I drastically underestimated and kind of, put aside, because I've just been playing so much of it recently. I played a ton of it, both online, at the table. I do need to still play with landmarks.
Oh yeah,
I think that this game is going to wind up being a modern classic.
for sure,
Um,
for sure.
when all is said and done, I think we're going to hold this in the same regards as some of those old classic games. And I just love how easy it is to get to the table, the simplicity of it, but just the variety and the depth of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, this one I debated making this my number one, which this was the part that I was a little bit panicked on when I was making my list. It hit so hard for me. So when they ran the Kickstarter, they did it wasn't BGA, it was like their own simulated website that you could play specific scorecards, just one specific scorecard. And it was during the pandemic, and I hyper fixate on it so hard. And it became almost like a self-soothing game for me. I really love playing it solo. It's fantastic solo, and it's easy. You're not playing with an automa or anything like that. It's tile laying to me is very calming, and the piece of your brain that you're using to think of the scorecards, it just puts me at ease. It's beautiful. I think Randy Flynn makes fantastic designs, and I agree. I think this one, years from now, people are still going to be playing it. If not, I will be forcing people to play it, because this is by far my most played game. I love this design.
And I think, speaking of Randy, Tabriz is probably going to
Yeah.
wind up on this list next year. I haven't played enough of it, but it is so good.
Yeah.
It is so,
Good
so
human
good.
being, good designer. Like I like the way that his brain thinks. So he's quickly becoming one of my favorite designers right now.
The junior version of this is also out. So if you're somebody with a
Yeah.
family and need something to play with them, that's also an option that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The art is absolutely adorable. Beth Sobel did the art on both of these.
Mhm.
But the art is drastically different, and amazing in both.
Yeah.
Can't say enough about that. And the junior version is just a lot of fun. You build up this little tableau,
Mhm.
and you get to look at it at the end. You get points based off of it. It's just so lovely. Roll and rights are good too.
Oh yeah, the roller rights
Yeah.
were great.
Yeah. I've played a decent amount of the roll and rights. I just haven't explored everything with them. But yeah, you're absolutely right. They are good too.
Yeah. Great pick. Great pick. Great number 3 for me. Yeah, so now my number 9. I love this game. My number 9 is Five Tribes. So that's a 2014 Bruno Catala design. It's another one that just like scratches an itch. The board is modular, so there are these tiles that you're laying out differently every single time you play, and the way that you're picking up these meeples, you're playing it. What is it? Mancala style.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever played that growing up, what a genius mechanic to throw into a game. Each of the colored meeples do something different. You might be collecting certain cards or getting coins, etc., etc. I love this game. It was one of the first earlier games that I had played getting into the hobby. Maybe when it had recently come out. It's just I like the abstractness of it. I really like bringing abstract games to the table, and this one you've really got to think differently than you do with there's nothing I can compare it to aside from Mancala, which is just like one mechanic of the greater whole of the game. But it's a lot of fun to play. It has me thinking. The way that you score points is a little bit different. And once all of the meeples are off of one of the tokens, you can place certain meeples on it to like collect some of the same color, scoring points differently. It's just every game is different. And I appreciate games where it's like, this is different every single time and still hitting for me. So after all of these years, Five Tribes is still hitting for me. Anthony said, I need to play this again. It was also early in the hobby for me, and the first time I really felt analysis paralysis. So I'd love another go now that I'm a seasoned gamer. Yeah, I think this was, I only played this one 2-player, so I feel like that should maybe be the caveat to it all. I imagine with the higher player counts that this could get a little AP inducing, but 2-player, very nice.
Yeah, this is one that I played at Dragon Con 2 or 3 years ago. I bought a copy after a friend said that they absolutely loved it and I needed it, so I just picked it up, sight unseen, and they were right. It was a fantastic game. I've only played a couple of times so far. It is one that is kind of on that short list of games that are on kind of my permanent shelves to get back out again and to try again.
They need an art refresh. That's the one critique I'll give it. The art and the theme, I'd like it to be a little bit more, I'd like it to either have a little bit care and attention or just kind of ease up on it a little bit. Aside from that, mechanics only, genius game. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that. So my number 9 is once again new to the list.
This is really new.
Yeah, this is one that came out to the table a few times this year. This is Apiary. This is a game about space bees. Where you're going and building, your massive space hive. And
they're so cute. They're so adorable.
So cute. It is a dice placement game at its core, but you're not rolling them. You are ticking them up every single time that you use them. They become stronger as you use them. Once they get to a certain point, you retire them. You get a little bonus, but then they're gone and you have to have more space bees. And it's so many actions, and there's really only a few different areas that you're putting these, dice in. But there's so many different ways that you can kind of bounce off between the different areas and do things, get those combos. It is so satisfying. One of my favorite dice placement games of all time at this point. And again, who doesn't love space bees? Yeah. I mean, it's just such a unique, cool theme, that we hadn't seen before Connie came along and, decided that we needed space bees in our lives. I don't know if that was Connie's decision, but if it was...
Yeah, let's reach out to Connie and say, was this your idea? I love it. So please say yes.
Please say yes. Please let it be your idea. It is it's a lovely game. Really, really like that one.
Yeah. That one's one that I still have yet to play. And I'm desperate. Nobody up here has a copy.
Who has a copy.
I need to come down and visit. Add it to the list. There's other ones. Here's the thing. Do we just take our top 20 and like whatever, like your number 1, if I haven't played it, let's play that. My number, you know what I mean? We'll figure this out.
Let's do it.
Good pick though. My number 8 pick is it's never going to leave my list. It's instead of bees, it's beans. It's Bonanza from Uwe Rosenberg. This one's wildly different than I'm sure what many people are used to. It is a card game where you are negotiating trades of beans and you're planting beans in your farm. And depending on each specific bean, you're going to have a certain amount that you can score off of. It's a lot of negotiation. It is a lot of table talk. It's a lot of bean promises. I'll give me this bean and you have a future bean promise from me. To the point where like that vernacular has gone into other games where we will jokingly say, hey, I'll give you one bean promise if you give me this coin. It's fantastic. It's one of his earlier designs. I can't remember. I think it's his first design. I could be wrong, but I think it's one of his first designs. I love it. I love everything about it. I love bringing this to the table. Another one, which is why it's lower on the list, could go with some new art. Some of the art is the 90s and could be done over, which Beth Sobel did in, I believe it's called Dahlias. They did essentially Bonanza, but with Dahlias and Beth Sobel art. It's beautiful. That's another one that I need to get, but same game design, just prettier, cute art. But it's goofy and fun. I think anything that you can get to the table where people are screaming at each other or trying to negotiate for beans is gonna be a good time.
I love that. And this is one that, as I was introducing people to the hobby, especially in my circles when I moved to this area back in 2016, that is something that I definitely brought to the table over and over again. And people were just like, how do we do this again? Like, this is wild. Like, this is so different. I really have always had a good time with Bonanza, and it always ends up in a fun, like you said, it's got its own vernacular that's like, I need future beans. I need promises for your future beans. And it's like, okay, we can
You don't have to deliver on those beans either. I'll make that clear. You can lie and say that you're going to give a bean and not give it, but then you've ruined a friendship for the rest of your life, and that's on you.
And the next time you need that future bean, you're not going to get it. It's just the way that it is.
But yeah, that's number 2, Uwe.
My number 8 was my number 6 from last year. It is also Anthony's number 7 from this year. It is The Castles of Burgundy, or sometimes, as we say, at 2:30 in the morning, Burgundy. Just a short little diatribe here. I live in a state that has tornado warnings, and we were down in the basement, and I saw it just sitting there, the brand new big box version of this from a company that I'm not going to name, just sitting there. And I was like, hey, turned to my fiance. I'm like, while we're down here, you want to play some Burgundy?
And she was like, hell yeah.
She was like, hell yeah. Let's play some Burgundy during this tornado warning where, we're just trying to survive.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's any place in my heart during a tornado warning that I'm like, yeah, let me play this really long, deep game.
Yeah. No, we're just trying to keep Charlie alive. That's a big priority that we have. No, so this is a wonderful, wonderful game. I could go on and on about this, but to me, this is Stefan Feld's magnum opus. Did so good with this. You're basically using dice to pick up these tiles. You're going to be placing them down in your Burgundy, and scoring points. You're possibly going to be getting more tiles from placing those tiles that you get to do different actions and you get to chain things together. You want to race for points from your opponents by filling out your sections first. You get special little bonus tiles that give you a certain action that only you get to do, which is super satisfying, especially if it works into your kind of gameplay style and the engine that you have going on. Lovely game. I have not played with the expansion content. I really want to play with the I think it's the wine
grapes.
grape.
Yeah.
I have not done that as of yet with the brand new version, but we said that we were going to get that out last time and we just ran out of time. I propose that we move this to the top of the list for the next time that you're in town.
Absolutely. And I am currently in like back-to-back games with a friend on BGA because I'm like, oh, let's play another one. Oh, let's play another one. Oh, let's play another one. Because this is my number 2. And this is new to me over the last, I think, like 2 years. I don't remember when it was introduced to me. This was one game where it was like everybody that I never even met, like people online were like, oh, you like this game? You would love Castles of Burgundy. And so when I finally got it to the table, it was delicious. It was so, every game, every choice that you're making feels really nice, especially when you start getting tiles that let you get more silver coins, get more workers. I've played with the grape expansion in the new big box. It's really good. It doesn't like add anything on top of it. It's just more choices to make. So I don't think it's a requirement. The funny thing about the original edition is the reason why I never got into the game, because it wasn't that pretty. And then they came out with a special anniversary edition. And I was like, wow, perfect, beautiful. I shall buy this game finally. Everyone tells me I should play it. And then not even a year later, they did a deluxeified version, which is still, it blows my mind, the like timeline of all of this. Get an edition that is available to you. Get it used. It's really good. It's very satisfying to play. Once you get through a couple of rounds, you've picked up the game, you know how to play it. And yeah, Natalie says, same story, Olivia. Yeah, no, everybody told me, play this game, you'll love this game. So if you're on BGA, just know I'll always play this game.
So good.
It's so good.
And
we
so
should play,
beige.
We should play it. We should play it on BGA soon, because I'm currently
let's start a game.
My 7, it's at my turn. My 7 is a classic. It's Dominion. It's it's deck building. It's deck building. I don't want to call it first of its kind, because like we had Magic the Gathering and such. But this is a fantastic game that I think everybody should just play, because there are so many expansions and so many ways to build it out. I've got a couple expansions. I am not the person that's got the like every single box, because I don't have that kind of space. I only just bought a house and the basement isn't finished. So someday. But yeah, deck building with different themes. You can make your own set. You can build it however you want, or you can go from their like pre-built sets. My personal favorite is the medieval expansion, where you get rats, and it's just like, the action is just, you have a rat card that you play, and it's like, hey, you get more rats. There's more rats now. And you end up with like half of your deck filled with these rats. This is a classic, and I don't think it will ever leave my list for this reason. It's fantastic.
It is a game that I always hear people, when they play it, usually it's after a while that they've been absent from the game, and they always say, why have I been away from this game for so long? I love it.
Yeah.
It is like you said, there's so much variety. There's so many different ways that this game plays especially when you get the expansion content in. Just a lot of different things going on. You can also play Nathan Thornton style and just basically bag up your cards into groups in a baggie and put them all in a basket, and then
No,
just pick 10 at
no,
random and
no. Who
find
does this?
Nathan
No,
Thornton,
no,
the designer of Green Team Wins,
no.
Medium, everything ever. Yeah, go back and listen to my episode with
You're
him.
gonna break me. I can't handle that.
Yeah. No, I want to play it with him because it sounds like so crazy. But the more that I think about it, the
Yeah,
more that I'm
that's the
like,
thing. Yeah.
I
Like,
want to
sure.
play this with Nathan because it sounds good. Um, it sounds like it's either going to be a train wreck or it's going to be fantastic. One of the two.
Jesus. I have the Board Game Geek art hanging up in front of me. And Kyle Farron did the Dominion poster for that one. And it's also just, it's got little moments of like, oh, that was from this expansion. Oh, that was from this. It's very
I love that.
precious. Yeah.
Love that.
I love this game. I love it.
My number 7 is once again new to the list this year. This was a box that I got at Gen Con and had to haul around the hall for half a day.
This isn't a box. This is a cement block that you got.
It is ridiculous. It is 25 pounds of pure, amazing dungeon crawler goodness. It is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era by Chip Theory. 4.5 years of design and development went into this game, and it shows.
Yeah.
There was so much care that was taken in this. These are screenshots I took, basically putting this together, trying to get reference images. I took this from the video that I made, which is a rare occurrence because, it's a lot of work. It was worth it because this game needed to, be shown. It needed to be seen. I wanted to make sure that people knew who this was for, who it wasn't for, because it is an investment. It's a big investment. But Chip Theory, basically asked if I wanted to cover it. And, at first I wasn't sure if I wanted to dedicate the time. I am so glad that I did. This sat on, basically I have a table with a recessed underneath part and then a little table topper on top that I can, basically put over that recess and, do normal adult things with that. And this sat underneath, and I would take the table toppers off and I put them back on, and I take them off and I put them back on. This was always sitting there. This was for months, literally, playing different scenarios, making different characters that are all, crazy and sometimes broken, but that's the fun of it. Just making wild combinations. The adventures that you go on are so crazy, and some of them are super serious, and then other ones are just like, I can't believe this is in this box. This is crazy. Like,
so I don't want to be this person.
Yeah.
But how does it compare to Gloomhaven? Because that, in my eyes, that's Dungeon Crawler. That is, we've seen that one as the Holy Grail. I won't say my opinions on it, but how do you feel it compares?
Gloomhaven's off my list.
Cool.
After this.
Fantastic.
I love Gloomhaven. I had a great time with Gloomhaven. This to me is a more replay it's hard to say, but there's so much content in here that I feel like even with the amount of content that was in Gloomhaven, I don't feel like I could get through this. Because of the different combinations, because of what you're doing, it is just so crazy the amount that they packed into this box.
Now, follow-up question.
Yeah.
What was your player count?
I have played it solo. I've played it at 2 and 4.
And how does it compare between those 3?
I actually prefer to play it solo than anything.
Yeah.
I play it two-handed.
Yep.
But I prefer to play it solo because it's more of a puzzle as opposed to a communication exercise.
Yes. Yeah, no, this one, the moment that you started talking about it, I was like, I knew this one would be on my list. And definitely with Chip Theory, that it's an investment. It's an investment, but all of their games, I feel like I've walked away and heard nothing but great things about it. So this one's definitely one that I want to check out.
Yeah.
Well, switching gears completely, my number 6, which was Anthony's number 15, is Carcassonne. Your very classic tile laying. Below Cascadia, I want to point that out because Cascadia I enjoy much more. But Carcassonne hits just real nice. Just tile laying, building out a map, and scoring points for, roads, fields, cities. They've got a ton of expansion content, and almost all of them are really fun to add in. I've played a few games where I've played like multiple expansions with it. I've played big versions of it where you're combining 2 boxes. I am realizing more and more just how much tile laying is important to my gameplay. There's something very soothing about it. Even when it is this, you're doing it on the same map and you're kind of competitively fighting each other for space. There's just nothing more satisfying. And this is kind of that like OG tile laying for me. That's really nice to come back to. So I recently played and hadn't played in like 2 years, and it still felt as satisfying, and I still knew exactly what I was doing. So good on me.
Yeah. My friend Justin, who I think you've met, does the trash bag Carcassonne.
Yeah.
Where he just throws everything into a giant bag, and it's just like, I'm gonna take 2 dinner tables and put them together, and we're gonna play Carcassonne with it.
Yeah, there's something satisfying about that. That version of it. It's not one that I can do every single time, but there is something fun of just like, I don't know, let's see how big we can make this. I don't want it to end. That is my thing. I very much don't ever want the game to end, but I understand the limits. We need the limits.
Just play again.
Yeah, I'll just keep playing over and over again.
All right. So my number 6 was my number 5 from last year. Game by Mac Gertz, who I don't know if we ever heard from again after this masterpiece of a game, in my opinion. This is Concordia. Look at the amount of fun that you'll have playing Concordia. With this magnificent box and woman that's just screaming, please,
God, yeah.
Please play this game. You're going to have a great time.
I think the box is what made me never pick it up.
Yeah.
So,
the table presence and the box. Yeah. No. The game inside is fantastic. It is so amazing. And there's a couple of different things that make it really cool. The first one being the fact that it's really easy to teach to newer players because you just take each card that's in their hand and tell them what it's going to do, and then show them on the board what it's going to do. And then it does it, and it does the thing. The other thing is the fact that on the bottom is a scoring condition. So each card that you're taking into your hand, it's not just a scoring condition that's filling up your hand. It's not just a, card that's going to give you an action that's great, but doesn't do anything for your scoring. It does both. And I I love this game. And the fact that when somebody goes and they get resources, they flip that tile. If you've got a city that's in there too, you get those resources too. And I love that positive player interaction where I have to be engaged, where I have to be like, oh, I get the thing. That's really cool. And I feel like it keeps me engaged. It keeps me in the game. Just absolutely love the gameplay of this game. Would be lovely if they found a way to retheme it and repackage it. But in the meantime, I think I have like everything for it. And I am always happy to play a game of this.
I think you are the friend, and we deeply need friends like you that are willing to pick up the ugly game and learn it, because you were doing, and I'm not going to drop what publisher, but you were working through a certain publisher's line, and we played one of those games at some point, and it's ugly. It was so, I do not enjoy the colors. I do not enjoy the vibe of it at all. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, but I like this gameplay.
Mhm.
And so I'm blessed to have you pick up those ugly games because without you, where would we be?
Exactly. We all need the diverse friend group. Everybody
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
function.
yeah.
Natalie says, I have the solo expansion for this and need to try it. I've only played this once and only within the last year. The solo expansion for it is quite good. I did enjoy it quite a bit. I do prefer to play this with other players. But the solo version of it is very good as well.
I've got to get better at solo gaming. Where I'm at. Well, from an okay looking game to a stunningly beautiful table presence game, my number 5 pick is Wingspan, with the caveat that you have to have the Oceania expansion with it. My general critique of Stonemaier games is a lot of their designs that they push out, you end up being very restricted in some of your choices with that like first run. Wingspan, a genius game, but once I added in Oceania, which adds the nectar, which is a wild food type, as well as like they changed the board so that it's a little bit easier to do that. Like second column is a little bit easier. That completely changed the game and changed the scores, going from like generally 50s to 70s to like now 100 plus. I love this game. This was Anthony's number one. I won't speak for him and say that he also said that you've got to have the Oceania expansion. But we all know the hype when it came out. Like it is real for a reason. I personally now play the digital version. It's just me and my partner sitting on the couch watching X-Files, and we are on our phones playing the digital version of this almost every single night. I love it. Like I can't go wrong with this game. And Beth Sobel art, again, not just Beth Sobel. There are 3 artists, but like it's pretty. They've got bird facts on it. Like this is just a fantastic game overall. I love playing it, whether digitally or physically.
Who doesn't love a good bird fact or a rock fact? One of the two.
I know. Or egg fact.
Or
Sometimes
egg
there's
fact.
some eggs in there. There's a lot that I've learned, and then I will go birding and be like, I've caught that bird. And I don't know if we're actually catching the bird. We're just maybe viewing the birds.
Viewing the bird, observing.
I forget what the wingspan lore is.
Attracting the bird to your habitat, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. But I often reference the birds that we have in the game.
Yes.
And I especially, honestly, I really liked the artist submission. They did a cards that like artists came in, like children drew different card art that it was like an expansion that you could buy, and it replaced the cards that you had.
Oh, I love that.
It's so cute. There's some that are obviously like stunningly beautiful, and it ranges from like 2D to 3D art that they like, whether they took a picture for or scanned. Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of fun content. They're going to do the whole world eventually. I don't care how long it takes them. This is just a great game.
I think Elizabeth said at one point, that they were just going to get around the world at,
yeah. Take as much time as you need. This one is in everybody's collection for a lifetime. This is one that will be played forever.
Do it properly, and it's really an evergreen game. It is a game that has earned a lot more respect from me than I initially had for it. Like, very early on in the podcast, and there's a couple of listeners that actually started very recently going back to episode 1 and listening all the way through, and like I was talking about how much I didn't like Wingspan. They were like, wow, you don't like Wingspan? I'm like, oh no, I love Wingspan. I think it's great. I just needed more time with it, and I needed more plays and more plays of other games to kind of appreciate what it was doing and get the strategy, and then
the art hit immediately. The mechanics, I don't think hit immediately as like this is an end all be all game for me. But again, once Oceanic came out, that was it. My love for it was solidified.
So my number 5 is new to the list. It is a game by Burnt Island Games, and it is Endeavor Deep Sea. I have a lot of love for this after it releasing last year.
So pretty.
It's a gorgeous game. There is a lot of chaining. There's it's all about action efficiency and making the best out of the actions that you have. Trying to do the most that you can with what you have to build up your engine to make that better, so that your next turn you can take another great action and do a whole bunch of stuff. You start off the game, you don't think that you're going to be able to do anything, but by the end of it, you're exploring the depths of the seas. You're going down to the bottom of the ocean, and you're basically trying to conserve nature. I want to talk about the other reason that I really love this game and what it's done. And it's the fact that this is a retheme of a previous game called Endeavor Age of Sail. It was another edition that had very problematic themes, colonization, slavery, horrible. So, from a thematic standpoint, it was basically off limits. A lot of people wouldn't touch it. And Burnt Island did pick this up. They rethemed it. The fact that the theme fits so incredibly well goes to show you that you can put good themes, not problematic themes, on games and have them be successful, have them feel good, have them feel like it's integrated and proper. From an environmental standpoint, they wound up packaging this in paper instead of the standard, plastic shrink wrap. The inserts are a special type of paper that's like a really stiff, kind of like composite that's formed. So instead of the standard plastic game trays, you now have something that's biodegradable. It is such a great production and such a lovely story. That combined with the excellent gameplay made it jump up on my list so much. I will absolutely play this anytime anybody wants to play it. Absolutely love this.
And shout out to Burnt Island Games because, just a peek behind the curtain, publishing games are expensive, and usually you do a larger print run. So to have a game that was problematic and say, hey, whether they sold out the last of that run or not, and said, we now need to invest in completely new art, invest in new graphic design, all of this in order to now publish a game that they could only hope would hit still, despite having this kind of scarlet letter. I don't know if that's the right I don't know if that's the right way to say, because I mean it was a ding on them for having a problematic theme to begin with. But I just think going above and beyond and believing in your product, believing in that design. Yeah, and Helena is a wonderful human being.
Yep.
Burnt Island games, yeah, no, this one really impressed me for that reason, because you just don't often see that, both in the difficulty for a publisher as well as just like not everybody wants to be cognizant of it. So yeah, I can easily see why this is on your list and so high up, because also it's a great design.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, you know, you have that realization that you have that mistake, and like you said, owning up to it and then doing something about it so that that title is then accessible. I remember talking to T. Kairas, and you know, basically they said, you know, they loved the initial gameplay of this, but couldn't touch it because of the theme.
Yeah.
And the fact that so many people are now able to access this game again, I think is a credit to their team, and really, you know, just a lovely story.
Yeah. No, that's great. And also just the added packaging for generally just like pointing out what trash can do in the sea, and it being this sea theme, and wanting to make sure that you're doing it. You're going above and beyond essentially for that. Love Burnt Island games. Love them. We're getting so close. My number 4, God, another game that I play digitally. It's Clank, a deck building adventure. So it's OG Clank that I've got on this. That said, the legacy games are so fantastic. It felt weird putting a legacy game on a list like this, but I absolutely am obsessed with them. I saw that you had the little Mr. Whiskers plushie back there, because I also have that from the Clank Legacy 2. Yeah, I love him. And yeah, I play it digitally. I play it analog as well. This combines some of my favorite mechanics. I love deck building. I love the like sort of push your luck resource management ish, because there's some coins that you can get in order to get some upgrades. I love this game. This is another one now that Direwolf has released it digitally. This is another one that my partner and I will play on the couch, because it's just so good. And their legacy versions really are tremendous shout out to just that team for the storylines that they provide, as well as like completely manipulating this game into kind of a new space. The Legacy 2 adds some like cooperative elements to it. That was one that got me through the pandemic. Chris said, I prefer space over OG, but I'd play any Clank and have an unplayed copy of Catacombs. Catacombs is good. So Catacombs is, they released a version in which you have tiles that you're flipping for the board instead of just having this like main board on it. I always think, like, every time I play a new version of Clank, I'm like, I don't know, is this still gonna hit? It still hits. It's really, really good to play. And yeah, the space theme was also really, really good with how they treated the board as well. Personally, I love what Direwolf is putting out. Their games are really thought out. Their games are really thought out, and they always hit for me. And I think this was one of their first ones. I could be wrong, but this was one of the, I remember getting it at Gen Con before it had like released to the public back in 2016. And it was very exciting. God, I want to just sit here and talk about it forever. Yeah. Catacombs brings in true exploration. It is because you're just kind of flipping a tile and hoping for the best that you're not going to get like stuck somewhere. I'll say my partner and I play gentler than maybe I would with everybody else, in that we're like, oh, we're just gonna keep pushing farther and farther down. So we almost always get out, but I can play mean, as I have established in this call. I can
Apparently.
play mean.
It is a game that really reminds me of the game that got me into this hobby in the first place, being Dungeon Quest. And
Yeah.
Dungeon Quest is even more reminiscent of Clank Catacombs because you have that exploration and you don't quite know where you're going. Dungeon Quest, like a hallmark of it, is you're going to hit dead ends and you're going to get stopped, and it's just it's dumb, but it's great. You know, and Clank really brought that like pressure luck mechanic that got me into this hobby in an updated form, in a more accessible form, in a form that I actually had a chance of winning, as opposed to like 11%, I think is.
And they've got like goofy characters, throwback to like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons and other like IPs that they'll like riff off of, which makes it fun. Again, it's like I want to both be mean and laugh a lot at the table, and this one's definitely, because Mr. Whiskers is a card in there, and it's just a cat. It's just a cat. We love him.
We just love Mr. Whiskers.
Yeah.
So my number 4 was my number 3 from last year. It is a game that I don't think gets enough love. It is Obsession.
Teach me. Please teach me. We've been talking about this for years. Teach me.
I need to teach you. I have played this so much on BGA. I finally got it out in person because I finally got a copy and got it to the table. I will say, don't be intimidated by the rule book. Watch a rules video for this. The rule book is really strange.
It seems like you're talking to me directly, because I've owned this one for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to. It scares me. It's overwhelming. I can't.
The first thing that you're going to see when you open up the rule book is a pie chart. Of points. Go watch a rules video. The rule book is fine for like referring to things and all of that. Like, it has all the information in. Then go back to the pie chart once you've played a few games, and it's like, oh, this is where most of my points come from. I'm going to go and do this. Just call Rodney.
This one, I specifically remember Liz from Beyond Solitaire had touted this as like, this is a solo game. This is genius. This is fantastic. And I bought it during the pandemic and was like, the theme, absolutely Olivia. Solo play, fantastic. I'm going to get this to the table. And the moment that I got it and opened it up and looked at that rule book, I almost cried. I might have cried. I don't remember. But like, it was very overwhelming. And we've talked about it on your podcast so many times because it's always in your top 10. And I am desperate to play this game.
Yeah, it is Downton Abbey, the board game, essentially. For those who don't know the theme of this, it is put out by a guy that is local to this area.
Is he?
He is local to this area.
He was really nice.
I do want to reach out to him at some point and have him on, but that's probably more of a next year kind of thing. There's like a lot of fun stories too. The characters that come out are like your family members that a lot of them have, you know, had like bad finances in the past, and you don't want to, they're going to give you negative victory points because they keep coming around and, you know, harassing all the other guests and stuff. It's just a you know, that thematic, like Downton Abbey kind of
it's like theme. The working staff, the butler, your valet, valet, I think they call it valet in the show. I can't remember. But no, it's someday we'll add it to the list.
But the gameplay behind this game, is so incredibly good. You've got deck building aspects to it. You've got a tableau that you're building out, and you're trying to get the right people to your events so that you can flip the tiles over, that they're going to score you points, or they're going to give you abilities that are going to make your estate better. The gameplay behind that is so incredibly good. It is something that you can check out, on BGA. And I do agree with Mick here. The theme is going to be a turnoff for some people. There's not a lot of representation, and that is the one thing that I think that they could have done better. Is there were certainly, people of color, people that were minorities in that time that could have been better represented in this game. So, that's absolutely something that could have been done a little bit better, and is going to be a turnoff for some people.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know they've got expansions, but I don't think they expanded upon.
They don't really
families.
do that well now. Let's see.
Yeah, we did our number 3s already.
Yeah, we got to go to number 2.
Yeah.
My number 2 was my number 1 from last year. It dropped by 1. This is Space Base. This is an engine building game where you're building up your tableau. Every time you roll, you're going to get something, usually either coins that are going to allow you to buy other cards, or points. You've got stuff that comes in on your opponent's turns that they're going to roll, and then you look at your tableau and you get stuff on their turns, so you're constantly engaged. And the expansion as well is fantastic. I've only played through the first couple of expansions, but you not only get 2 regular sized dice, but you get a boatload at the end of the game of these little tiny dice that have a 1 in 6 chance of getting you more stuff. So it's just a nice, satisfying game. John DeClaire, I'm a big fan of the games that he puts out. I'm usually into just about everything that he's done. And again, the engagement on everybody's turn is just so good, that you are going to, just continue to play this game. It goes fast. It does feel different every single time. But there's a little bit of difference between that and my number 1 and the variety that made my number 1 my number 1.
This is another one that everybody says I should play that I would like, and I have not yet. And you know how I feel about it. I said that. Love.
Yeah.
2 different games, but same designer. But yeah, no, this one, everybody has told me to play this one, and I truly trust all of you telling me, yelling at me. I really want to get this one to the table.
Yeah. And BGA, if you haven't played it on BGA, that's always an option too.
Yeah, Natalie said, since I found this on BGA, I haven't played my physical copy since. Maybe I need to learn it, and then I can play it on BGA. Is really where it's my primary focus has been on lately, especially this. The sun is coming out, you guys. We're at the end of March. The sun is coming. I am going to be outside more. You'll see me on BGA. Okay, well, this is it. This is the big number 1 for me. If anybody knows me, they'll know that this has not changed in the 8 years since it's been released.
It's been that long?
It's been that long. It was a 2016 release.
Oh my God. I feel old.
It's a feast for Odin. Again, caveat, got to play with the Norwegians expansion. At that point, I forgot we put that on there. I do have an Uwe tattoo.
Uwe Rosenberg.
Shout out to Aza for the genius of this thought. No, I love Uwe's designs. And this one, is such a complete culmination of like what he does best, which is tile laying, worker placement, and there's like a little bit of card management ish. With the Norwegians expansion, they expand upon the main board that you're placing your workers on, giving you like an extra bonus for your last turn, which I find to be extremely important, which is why I always say play with the Norwegians expansion. There's some mini expansions that add extra islands and stuff, but it's such a table hog. You are all playing off of your own main board. Again, it's Uwe, so it's like this solitaire game that you're playing. And then you're exploring other islands as your Vikings, and you're pillaging if you want to, or maybe you're farming if you want to. This one I have found the replayability to be kind of insane. I've had friends who go in with specific strategies like, hey, I am only going to get animals. This is, we'll see how that goes. And they'll win off of that. Or they're only going to pillage or go to other islands. There's just so much that goes into it. The tile laying, you really got to think out how you want to place those tiles to gain resources off of it. It's a big box. It's heavy. It's a brick. It could someday, Cascadia might knock it down someday. Not today, though. I love it so very much. So anytime I can get it to the table, I'm a happy girl. Yeah, Natalie said I got rid of this game. Biggest regret, have not reacquired it and need to play it, but do not have the expansion. The expansion's important. I feel like, especially, it's another one where the base game was a little bit restricted. You really had to very much think through every single turn and make sure you were making specific choices. Norwegians just adds to it. So playing it on BGA isn't always that exciting because you're just playing the base game. They have supposed to put out a separate expansion for it over the last 5 years and have since now shifted to it's going to be a standalone in the same universe. I have been desperately waiting. So if anybody has a hookup and knows Uwe Rosenberg personally or Fjordland, I don't know if that's who's releasing this, but God, I need to get my hands on it because this one's just the culmination of who I am, just kind of into the solitaire worker placement with a bunch of tiling for an added little sweet treat.
This was on my list last year. I know that.
I'm sad that it was taken off. It's okay.
There's
it's okay.
So many good games, though.
I know.
And it is one of those games that is hard to get to the table.
Yep.
But I agree with you in the fact that, you can do all sorts of different stuff. And, you can pick your own route and you get your cards. And it's this kind of synergizes with this. I'm going to go and I'm going to go grab that,
Yeah.
And
the cards might lead you in a certain direction, which is really his bread and butter of what those cards are going to do and how you're going to make the choices. The downfall is always teaching somebody. It is a game that your first game, I think I scored 20 points on my first game, is really bad. You can score 100 plus easily in this game for reference. But yeah, teaching it, getting it to with new players, it's hard. And that's what makes it difficult. But for me, it's my little hidden gem. And one of the many Uwe games that I'm just head over heels in love with.
I think it's something like 60 action placement spaces or
63.
It's
insane. Yeah.
But they all fit into different categories and they do once you play through it once, they do start to make sense.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion when I played it. So
and if you've played his other big boxes, you pretty much know what it's gonna be. Yeah. You pretty much get it.
Yeah. So it is time for my number one. This was my number two from last year. I really wish somebody would retheme this. That is the only downfall that I have to this game is the theme is boring as hell. Throw some woodland critters in there, throw something
Always
else.
slap a cat on it. Just throw a cat, make it a
Throw
cat.
a cat. But this game is so incredibly good from a mechanical standpoint. I can't not. It is Orleans.
And this is another one I have not played, and everybody says play it. You will love it.
Yeah. The bag building, just works here. It is so good. Ryan's number 19, another crossover for us. This is my favorite bag builder. Obviously, it's my favorite game. When somebody comes up to me, and it was space-based for a long time, the variety that you have here you can play it competitively, you can play it cooperatively, you can play it with all sorts of different tiles that give it a different theme every single time. You can go and you can play it with the Plague expansion, which makes it a really horrifying game to play because everything is terrible.
I love it so much, though.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a fun, like, everything is terrible. It is. Yes, you need the click-clack tokens. You need the upgraded tokens for this.
Those are BGG tokens, I assume.
Yeah, they're the BGG tokens. Or there's some other companies that I think have done them. Invasion to me is necessary. It turns it into a co-op. You can play it solo at that point. Trade and Intrigue are really good. The promos, there's a ton of them. You don't have to have them. But at the very least, I would say, get Invasion to make it, that choice between whether you want to play it competitively or cooperatively.
And my only experience with bag building is strictly Quacks of Quedlinburg. That is my only knowledge. So is there a similar, I assume it's not like a push your luck situation. It's more of like,
no. So you get a certain amount of your villagers every single time that you get to pull from. They all have different roles. If you look at the board on the bottom right, you'll see that there's different actions. If you can fill those different action spaces up, you get to execute that action. So you want to build your bag up with the right people to do what you need to do. And then when the game is coming to a close, you're trying to cull your bag as much as possible to that center board that's kind of in the center of the picture that's here, that you get a reward every single time one of them goes. And if you're the person to fill that space up, you get this person, which is worth a lot of points at the end of the game, depending on how far you've moved down the progress track at the bottom of the main game board. It is so incredibly good. From a gameplay standpoint, there's improvement tiles that give you different special abilities that are just yours, which is always fun, and can help shape your strategy, that it just feels like a different game every single time. I am always up to play this. If somebody is trying to play this and doesn't have it, and wants to try it out, like, I will try to get this to you, so that we can play it, because it's just such a good game.
She says that, but she's never flown to Minneapolis to come teach me. So, like, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just saying, like, everything's here.
Okay. But, your wedding night, then? Is that... No.
Maybe.
No.
I mean, Allie will be sleeping. You know that.
The funny
She'll
thing
be
is
sleeping, and
she will.
I'll throw on my PJs and we'll go down the lobby and we'll play this.
The theme is whatever. I don't hate the art. I feel like Capstone is actually pretty good about a very dry theme, but like art pops a little bit for me.
Yep.
So I don't know why I haven't played this one yet. It's
Yeah, the art's not bad. The theme, I could really, I'd like a refresh on it.
Yeah.
I think that it is what it is. But it could use something different. We don't need to be doing things in Europe again. And that's the only gripe that I have with it. But as far as gameplay goes, it is just so good.
Yeah. That's a good pick. Good 20 picks from both of us. Yeah. I've been trying to look at the list and see if I can glean any information off of it. I do notice that a lot of the likes are between the 2011s, 2016s, which was kind of like, I mean, that's when I got introduced to the hobby. I think it was like 2010 maybe. Like the deeper side of the hobby. And we really went through a renaissance at that height. And I'm so very thankful to have gotten into the hobby and to have moments like this to kind of reflect on that, and reflect on how many good games are still coming out.
Well, look at the amount of new games that, were not on my list from last year and continue to come in, this year. Some games that were supplanted, Too Many Bones, Blood on the Clock Tower, Alchemist, Kanban EV.
Oh, Alchemist is so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, just lots of fantastic games. These games that are coming out, they're still being produced. There's still stuff that's really hitting. Just absolutely love it. But no, this was a lot of fun. Chris, thank you for the shout out. I do the Cardboard Time podcast. Every 2 weeks, a new episode comes out. My latest was with Emily Vincent, who did Pirates of the High Teas, which is now
still on Kickstarter? Is it still currently on Kickstarter?
It is currently on Kickstarter. And then the upcoming Knitting Circle, fantastic conversation with her. So definitely check that out. Happy to have Olivia here with me. It's been a great time. Thanks to the entire Tabletop Express team, Anthony, Chris, Ryan, Anthony, for running things behind the scenes. Continue, like he said, to tune in. A lot of great content still to come, including the listeners' top 20 as well, I believe, that's coming up at the end of this. So, thank you for everybody that joined us. Thank you for tuning in, and we had a great time, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. We love the Tabletop Express community, so I'm glad to have popped in here to add to the flavor that Arwen's already providing.
Night all.
Bye.